Football boots are capable of really putting that spark of imagination into players' heads the same way the new Nike Mercurial Superfly 4 has. Spawning everything from Flyknit futsal shoes to a Mercurial-inspired running shoe, the new Superfly is almost suspiciously iconic before it has even hit a store shelf. But the trouble with making a shoe this big before anyone has even had a chance to wear it is that there is almost too much hype. Can even the best boot ever conceived live up to the expectations created around the new Superfly? Well, we've been lucky enough to have a pair for a few weeks now, so let's take a look. Let's kick things off with comfort, and if the Mercurial Vapors 8 and 9 were the nails in the coffin of the myth that all Mercurials must obliterate the wearer's feet, then the Superfly 4 buries the coffin, then blows up the cemetery for good measure. You can't so much as wiggle a single toe or flex a tendon in your feet without the boot's upper responding in some way. When Nike say that they've edited the Superfly down to the bare minimum, they certainly weren't kidding. And in terms of feel on foot and touch on the ball, these are the most minimal football boots we've ever worn. But the Nike skin layer on the upper does add a sense that there is something wrapping around the foot, as well as providing a sense of durability to the boot. And with that in mind, the ACC All Conditions Control finish also helps waterproof the Superfly 4 and provides protection for the Flyknit from water, mud and debris, as well as making them easier to clean. However, before we leave fit behind completely, I do want to point out that the V12 last used on the Superfly 4 is around half a size long fitting. If you're an average to wide-footed player, you'll find this combines with the Flyknit to offer up the most forgiving and adaptable fit yet seen on a Mercurial. Narrow-footed players, however, might want to consider going half a size down from their usual size to get what will probably be the best fit they've ever experienced on a soccer shoe. Playing in Nike's latest boot is a wonderfully pure experience. You'll find that the Superfly 4 gives a real sense of one-to-one movement with your feet, bolstering confidence and making for some sweet striking and passing. One thing that you might not know about the Superfly 4 is that it does have an interior liner, so the touch, especially when moving at speed, isn't quite as minimal as you might think at first. After a couple of wears, you do get a great level of break-in around the forefoot especially, making that sense of edited down touch a real feature of the boot. One thing equally as prominent out of the box is the sole plate. Whilst Nike have stripped the carbon fibre on the boot down to just 2 layers, there's a not unexpected level of resistance to the chassis when you first wear them. This could just be me, but I get a little bit of cramp in my arches when a boot is just a bit too stiff in the sole plate, and I certainly got that on the first outing in the Superfly 4. Thankfully, after a few wears, that does get a lot easier and begins to do the traction plate justice. Which is only fair, of course, given that planting, twisting, cutting and braking is as good in the Superfly 4 as you'd hope. The new traction plate and stud layout is hands down one of the best you'll find if you're a fast player. And fast players usually get a lot of time on the ball, which is exactly the sort of tenuous link I need to say that keeping a pair of Superfly 4s will need a lot of time too. The finish on the upper is pretty much wipe clean, which will no doubt surprise some people, but the dynamic fit collar is raw Flyknit, so you're going to need to keep your boots cleaned regularly. That said, the collar will absorb sweat and grime no matter what, so don't expect to keep them box fresh forever. To wrap things up quickly, the Mercurial Superfly 4 is as good a boot as you would hope for the price, if you personally can ever justify that sort of cost. It manages to pack in more bells and whistles than your average supercar, but somehow the result is an unbelievably pure touch and feel, with responsive traction and a phenomenal sense of unity between not just the foot, but the whole lower leg and the boot itself, provided by whatever magic Nike weave into the dynamic fit collar. In terms of downsides, despite feeling surprisingly hard wearing in the hand, we will say that the exposed Flyknit on the collar and underneath the laces is something to keep a sharp eye on in the long term. But that, the little bit of stiffness in the chassis, and probably a longer than average fit in the toes would be our only concerns about the boot overall. Other than that, the Mercurial Superfly 4 is the crowning glory in Nike's already impressive range of football boots. And speaking of Nike football boots, if you'd like to keep up with the latest releases and colourways, head over to Footy-Boots.com for daily football boot news, views and reviews, or follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram or Google+.